What up, everybody? Welcome to My Top 5 Podcast. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Seven.
And we're here. We're going to be debating, our top fives and many different topics. Today, we're going to be with what's going on today with the NBA coming back. We're going to be debating our top 5 teams to win that can win the title this year. If you want to leave a comment under and respond to what we're saying, maybe feel free. We're open to debates and conversation. So I will start with my top 5. We'll start with 5. 5 sounds like a good.
Sounds great.
So
and I'd like to interject that we're having this discussion over red velvet cake.
That's right, red velvet cake. Because this is our first one, we're celebrating with a little cake.
This shit is good as hell, though.
It is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Back to the topic at hand. NBA champions 2020 season. My number 5 team is the Boston Celtics. Now, if you look at the Boston Celtics, look at the depth of their team, the youth, the cohesiveness. They play together for a long time. I feel like they're a team that will be a tough out in today's NBA Finals with the way that they've come back. I feel like teams that have played together for a long time have an advantage. So the Boston Celtics is my number 5 team.
Ooh.
Who you got? By the way, we did not discuss this before. This is all off the top of the head.
Right. That's why I didn't actually, when we first started discussing it right now, I didn't actually have my teams. I actually have 5, but I don't have my teams in any particular order. But it is top 5. So my number 5 probably would be. See, I don't want to pick the same one as him, but my top 5 probably would be. I guess it would be Boston as well.
Oh.
Based on my 1 through 5, they would fall in that 5th spot. Pretty much the same things, like he said, the same traits. But I still think even though they are a very talented team with a talented coach, it's still experience. I know they're still experiencing growing pains. You know what I mean? And I think that showed the last few years in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And, the playoffs is where you really have to dig in. And I just think like a few of the guys, they're still learning to be mentally strong and down the stretch in some of the close games that they've lost over the years in the playoffs. You know what I mean? You can see it on the young guys. Young guys are different than, battle-tested guys as far as, when it gets really tough, they don't just get down and be like, oh, shit. No, they meet the challenge head on. So I would go with Boston as my number 5.
All right, so number 4, my number 4 team is the Milwaukee Bucks. That's right, the Milwaukee Bucks. I have them down to 4. I just don't know about them in the playoffs. I haven't seen it. I don't really trust them. That being said, they do, to me, have one of the top players in the league in Giannis. They have a good supporting cast, they have a good coach. They are playing in the East, which might be a little bit of an advantage. That being said, I'm one of those people. Until I see it, it's hard to see. Like, they don't really have anybody on their team that stands out to me. Like, they're gonna really be able to put them on their shoulders and carry them yet. Giannis, I think, can be that guy. I'm just not sure if he's that guy yet. All right, who you got? Who's your 4?
My number 4 would have to be the defending champions, and that would be Toronto. I think they're a team that's already familiar, and even though they're defending champs, I would have to say that absence of Kawhi is very big. Let's be realistic, but they are still a tough team. Great bench, great coach, and they're all familiar with the system. But it's the Kawhi factor. I mean, I would have them at 4. If Kawhi was still there, I would definitely have them at a higher spot. But I do expect them to be a tough out, especially in the East. let's be realistic.
I'm going to get back to that later on because
Yeah,
you'll see them later on in my list.
At the end of the day, he's Canadian.
So what?
He's biased.
It doesn't matter.
It's like, truthfully, like I'm kind of
That
biased
don't
because
matter.
I am a Knicks fan.
You might
And
as well-
if the Knicks wasn't so
might as
terrible,
well
I would
just-
find some way to sneak them into my top
Just cheer for
five.
the Liberty, all right? You got a better chance of winning with the Liberty than you do the Knicks.
If the Knicks wasn't so terrible, I would find a way to sneak them into my top five.
Yeah,
but
top five.
they're
worst
not
teams
even
ever.
invited. They're not even in the bubble. This is only
They'll
for
be in
teams that are
another
the bubble.
discussion. Top 5 worst teams ever. Will be the Knicks.
That'll be another discussion. I'll probably be like absent that day. Somebody else
Yeah,
will probably
exactly.
fill it in for me. I'll probably have like a family emergency and I won't be able to participate in that top five.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with Toronto at number 4, and no other reason than them being at number 4 instead of higher would probably be the Kawhi factor for me.
All right, number 3. We're all the way up to number 3. Now this gets
Now
fun.
it's getting serious.
Now it gets fun. So my number 3 is a sleeper pick. This team is a team that I've liked from the beginning of the season. A lot of people are talking about them now because of how they're looking in these scrimmages, but I'm a big Denver Nuggets fan. And for me, the Denver Nuggets are number 3. They have size, athleticism, youth, experience, cohesiveness, pretty much everything that you would expect, that you'd want out of a team. They have guys that have played at high levels for a long time. They have the good veterans like Millsap. They got young, like budding superstars and Murray and Jokic. They got Bol, who's coming off of, like, wasn't even supposed to play this season, but because of the pushback, you might see him in these playoffs. So it's crazy. The amount of depth and talent they have on that team. Gary Atkins go on and on and on. That team, to me, is stacked. So that's my number 3 team, the Denver Nuggets. That's my sleeper pick, but yeah, definitely number 3, the Denver Nuggets.
True. And that is a sleeper. Number 3 for me would be the Bucks. I move them up a little higher, especially like over the Raptors. Like I said before, the Kawhi factor, but the Bucks, Giannis is definitely a beast. From what I understand, the team was, most of the guys were staying pretty much in shape and working out during, this whole pandemic situation. And I just know he's really hungry. Of course, he's going to carry the team. He is the team, but he does have some good supporting pieces. And, they're tough out. Like, again, it's the East, you know what I mean? So, for me, I expect them pretty much probably to come out of the East. I'm going to put them at number 3. And, yeah, that's my number 3 coming out of the pandemic bubble season.
Number 2. Number 2 to me is the Clippers. The Clippers, I mean, like you brought up before, Kawhi Leonard, big superstar. They got depth. They got pretty much everything that you'd want on a team. They got size, athleticism, shooters. They've proven throughout the year that they were better than the Lakers. They beat them. They pretty much beat everybody when they were full strength. Almost everybody, which I'll get into with my number 1 pick later. Yeah, so for me, the Clippers are I think are going to come out of the West. The Kawhi, Paul George, those big wings are big. Patrick Beverley, if he plays, which is going to be key for them, is huge. Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, they got a lot of guys, that can come in and out of the game. Very deep team. They're well coached. So to me, number 2 is the Clippers.
For me, number 2 would be the Lakers. I know a lot of LeBron fans just went like this. Oh, man, listen. Number 2 for me would be the Lakers. There's all new pieces coming together this season. I know them guys are working out too. I know LeBron was definitely on his workout. So far in the bubble, he looked decent.
Nice.
Me.
Let's add that first podcast, first episode.
First top 5 burp.
Let's just throw up on the camera. Top 5
Yeah,
burps. Well, that wouldn't even hit the top 10 for top
Listen,
burps.
it definitely wasn't top 10, but
Yeah.
that red velvet was incredible. But yeah, I would say the Lakers. They just recently picked. They got J.R. Smith in the bubble, so that's why,
J.R. Henny?
that's one of the reasons why. Truthfully, they probably be my number 1, but they got J.R. Smith.
So that dropped them down.
That dropped him down. Rondo, because at the end of the day. And he might not like hearing this, but at the end of the day, J.R. Smith is known to have a brain cramp or 2 during the playoffs, and they always seem to come in critical situations.
Yep.
But and they're not going to have Rondo, You know what I mean, on the floor. You know, he's not in the bubble at all, as far as
He
I know,
was
right?
there, but he was complaining about the food, and then he
Right.
then he broke his finger.
Then karma kicked in.
Yeah.
So they're not going to have Rondo there, you know, with that veteran leadership and experience.
So you're not a big fan of Dion Waiters? Exactly.
Right. So I got the Lakers as number 2.
Mhm.
You know, but you know, with LeBron, and then him and AD together, they looked really good before, you know, the pandemic shut everything down. They look really good together, but you know, it's not just them two. You know, they have to take breaks and stuff like that, and they're going to need the help. So those are my reasons for them being my number 2 in the top 5.
So with that being said,
Drum roll,
we're
please.
back to our number 1s, and which might surprise you guys. I do not have the Lakers in my top 5. I don't think that they're that good, to be honest. I think the regular season, playoffs is the playoffs, and you know, until AD does something in the playoffs, LeBron's the only one that's really LeBron and Danny Green. You know, they've been there, done that. J.R. Smith's been there, done that. But these are guys, like you said, pushed all together, played a shortened season. They got to come back together, revamp up. LeBron is at the end of his career, the twilight of his career, almost at the end. He's got a few more years of being one of the best players in the league. But that being said, I think that the West, if they run into a Denver, they run into Utah, they might see problems. If they run into the Clippers, I think they're done. So my number 1 pick, and I mean, I got to go with it. You're going to say it's Canadian bias, but I said the Toronto Raptors. And the reason why I say the Toronto Raptors is it's the cohesiveness. That's the same team as last year minus Kawhi. And people underestimate the fact that Kawhi played on one leg. And Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry in the finals, like those guys stepped up and really won the title for them. Kawhi kind of got them there. It definitely got them to that point. But in the finals, like Kawhi wasn't the guy. It was Lowry.
Siakam was very big. Van
Vliet.
Yeah, they were very big.
So they have the pieces. I think again the cohesiveness is huge. Their defensive mindedness is huge. I think Ibaka showed this year that he upped his shooting percentage, his 3-point shooting percentage. Marcus Gasol got in crazy shape during this pandemic, came back in better shape, faster, looks younger. I think that they're going to be the team that comes out of the East, and I think that the teams in the West are going to beat up with each other. That's why I think that the Raptors are going to win the title. I'm calling it now, back-to-back champs, bringing it back to Toronto. No parade, Corona, but that's my prediction. Number 1, Toronto Raptors.
Like I said, bias.
He'd say the Knicks, but
yeah, like I said before, bias.
Are they even in the bubble?
Huh?
No, they're not.
Excuse
right?
me, sir. It's my turn.
Sorry.
The floor is mine.
It's okay.
I have the floor now.
It's all right.
So my number 1 for the top 5 would be the Clippers. They got a lot of weapons. They got some battle-tested dudes on the team. Kawhi's had more time to get healthy. And, you know, everybody's got, you know, this whole pandemic before the bubble started is giving everybody a chance to rest their bodies and, you know, get ready for when, you know, the season got underway again. And, like, they got Lou Williams. Even though he's quarantined right now, he will be available soon.
Magic City Lou.
You know, they got Lou Williams coming off the bench. They got Beverly. You know what I mean? He gets into dudes, and you know, in the playoffs, you know, the game slows down a little bit. You get into them half-court sets. Beverly gets into dudes. He gets into their heads. He gets into some dudes' souls and have them way outside of themselves, you know? And, you know, you got Kawhi. They have a team. The Clippers, and then, you know, you got Doc Rivers. I really...
He's a good coach, but he's overrated.
He's good enough. He's good enough for what's going on.
He's good, but he's overrated.
Right. And notice, you know what's really crazy though? One thing I noticed, you know, in either one of our top 5s, we definitely don't have the Rockets.
No. They can't do it.
Right.
They can't do it. The Rockets can't do it.
Right.
That style of basketball, D'Antoni. How are you gonna have the biggest guy on your team be 6'6"? How are you gonna compete against the Lakers, the Clippers?
Right.
In the West, the Denver Nuggets. I seen the lineup of the Denver Nuggets where they had Jokic playing point guard. Just to like.
That shit
Are
is
you
crazy.
kidding me?
Yeah. So on that though, what's the what you call it? How are they doing it? Are they doing best out of 5s? How are they going to do?
I think it's best out of 3 at the beginning, and then it'll expand
Right.
as the series goes on. So it's gonna be kind of like the playoff series in the 80s, right? Or earlier.
And they're still going to have 3 rounds of play before you get to the finals?
I believe so. And but they're doing it by from 1 to 16. They're not doing it by Western Conference and Eastern Conference now.
Oh, fuck out of here. See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So I think that's what they're doing.
That switches up a little bit.
It does.
That
It
really
does
switches up a little
because
bit.
you might see
You might see an East Coast team, West Coast team might be playing each other early.
Exactly. That's why it's important to finish high. So that means if the Bucks and the Lakers were just to win out, then that'd be the top 2 teams because they finished first in the divisions.
Shit, I didn't even have that information before I picked my top 5, but I'm still going to stick with it.
Yeah. But let us know what you guys think about our top 5. Feel free to leave a comment. Our email is in that you can send us an email if you have any topics you want us to discuss. Next week we'll be doing another topic. We'll decide what that's gonna be, but it's probably more in the music industry aspect. But we'll get back to you.
Feel free to send us some ideas if you have them for the top 5.
Right.
And we're open to any topic, any subject. And thank you for joining us.
Peace.
Hey.